Hey Andrew, how's it going? Thank you for submitting both of your answers to the questions that I posted about the reading. So for tomorrow, Friday, or I guess today, depending on when you open this video, you're gonna do a little bit more reading before we kind of transition into other skills. I'm gonna integrate like vocabulary and just like normal tutorial stuff. Unfortunately, it's a little bit harder to do like fluency. But I'm thinking that I'm probably gonna have you like read a conspiracy theory of your choosing and then write a summary on it, just so we can kind of keep up working on your written compositions and I can give you feedback on that. I would ultimately like to continue working on the essay that you were working on. It's just a little bit trickier now that everything is like virtual. So yeah, I hope you're doing good. Hope your family is safe and healthy. I feel like everyone has been saying that to each other. I miss running into you on campus. But this will just have to do for now. So I'm gonna just briefly go over last night's reading, give a kind of a summarization, just make sure that you feel like you understand everything, go over your answers, and then I'm also gonna post the new reading assignment and the new 2 to 3 comprehension questions for the weekend. All right. So getting started with so we actually read this before we left for break. So we have McMurphy, Nurse Ratched, a lot of the other patients, including the chronics and the acutes. Keep in mind that the chronics are the people who are really there long term, and the acutes are usually a little bit younger, and don't have as severe diagnoses or disabilities or mental issues as the chronics do. So this is a group therapy session that happens with all those students. I'm not students, patients. And then we got Dr. Spivey. And so the doctor is kind of engaging with McMurphy a little bit. The nurse, trying to maintain control. Eventually, at the end of your reading, says, like, well, maybe we should give Mr. McMurphy, like, an outline of the rules of group therapy so he knows what it is. And he reminds him, like, all the patients need to be sitting. So this is Nurse Ratched's way of maintaining control over, like, the doctor. So even though the doctor seems to be the one, like, running the group therapy session, it's really Nurse Ratched who's giving the directions. And so you have this dialogue between Dr. Spivey and McMurphy, where the doctor's claiming that he's like interested in what's in McMurphy's report, and notes and tells the group, like, it's also noted that your past doctor at the work farm says that you might be faking your mental illness to escape doing all the work at the work farm. And McMurphy kind of challenges this by saying, like, now, do I look like a sane man? Like, asking the doctor, like, don't I look crazy? I look crazy, right? So, and he's trying to incite that idea that he is crazy. Whether he is or he isn't, is yet to be decided officially. But the big nurse finally realizes that her new patient, McMurphy, is out of control, and she asks the doctor to explain the protocol again, like asking patients to sit down and then explain, like, what group therapy is. So the doctor lets McMurphy that the patients are supposed to remain seated during the meetings. And then, again, keeping in mind that this whole book is written from Chief Bromden's point of view, not McMurphy's or not Nurse Ratched's. It's written in first person, but it's kind of, again, it's written from kind of a background character to us right now. So as the meeting proceeds, Chief notices that McMurphy's like kind of getting confused, and he makes this comment, like, let me pull up the PDF. He makes a comment about on page 37. He goes, there's something strange about a place where the men will let themselves loose and laugh, something strange about the way they all knuckle under that smiling flower-faced old mother. He's talking about Nurse Ratched. And so he goes to, like, he leans in to kind of make comments in group therapy, but McMurphy decides, like, no, I'm going to hold back. I'm just going to observe. And he just finds it kind of weird, you know? And then he kind of goes more into his gambling past. And he says there's a good rule for a smart gambler. Look the game over a while before you play and draw yourself a hand. So McMurphy is really trying to just get an understanding of what is real life like in this board. Like, why are things the way they are? Why is no one laughing when I try to make a joke? Because again, like, he's used to being the top dog. He's used to kind of making people laugh. And that's how he gains control. So we're working more towards that conflicting power dynamic between McMurphy and Nurse Ratched. So just, you know, kind of moving forward, we have these group therapy sessions that are going to be a typical routine, all right? So I do want to go over the first question that you were asked to answer. You were supposed to tell me, Google and tell me in your own words, kind of like, what is a therapeutic community? In that theory, what is it? So when they gather in these groups, it's led by the doctor. Again, it's a participative group-based approach. It's just therapy, essentially, for these patients who have long-term mental illnesses, personality disorders, and I don't think any of them really have a drug addiction, although, as we've seen in the past, like, the nurses aren't exactly telling the patients what they're taking, so maybe they do have a drug addiction. I don't know. So it usually, from what I know, is it usually happens in like a more residential setting, which is interesting. It's kind of like living on campus where the patients, like the students, are living on campus with the therapists, the teachers. And so they like kind of tattle on each other and they submit their like gossip to Nurse Ratched in the form of a notebook. And so like they write it down, and that's like what gets brought up in group therapy. It seems really unethical if you ask me. I mean, that sounds messed up. It's basically like if your friend found something out about you, or if you told your friend something, your friend telling your house parent. That's essentially what's happening. So it's really strange. Let's go into your second question, which you actually did a great job with. So the question was, during the conversation with McMurphy about his past, Dr. Spivey and Nurse Ratched, what is happening between Dr. Spivey and McMurphy, and why does Nurse Ratched seem to have such a problem with it? So in the meantime, while Dr. Spivey is overlooking McMurphy's file and hearing about, you know, like his sexual assaults, and he likes to fight a lot, and all these things that get kind of mentioned, the possible diagnosis that he might be a psychopath. You said during the conversation with McMurphy about his past, the big nurse felt that there was a power shift going on between herself and McMurphy. Yes, there was. And you said this made the big nurse start thinking about the ways she can torture McMurphy. And while that may be true, the reason why the big nurse has such a problem with it was because McMurphy is creating kind of like a personal bond with Dr. Spivey. And if that happens, then there's more of a chance that McMurphy is going to break that bond of control that the big nurse, or Nurse Ratched, has with Dr. Spivey. All right, so again, Nurse Ratched likes to be in control. She is the head honcho in charge. And McMurphy, with his big personality, I mean, that in itself kind of conflicts. If you have too many cooks in the kitchen, it can get really hot really quick, essentially. So the way that this is kind of gonna proceed into our conflict, I mean, the conflict is going to be between McMurphy and Nurse Ratched. We're going to see how that plays out. And then again, it also is all happening through the eyes of Chief Bromden. So, we're going to also see, like, why is he the narrator? Let's see if there's anything else I feel like I need to go over. I don't think so. So, let me pull this video back up. So, if you have questions about what you've read so far, feel free to, again, like, write a comment in, like, the Google Classroom, or email me. I'm going to do all of your questions on the classroom like the classwork assignments in classroom. That way you don't have to make any extra docs. But when we start transitioning into other skills, you'll probably need to make a doc. So I hope all is well. Thanks for watching and listening. I'm going to try to keep my videos under 10 minutes, and it's just over 10 minutes. So with that, I'm going to say adios, amigo. Hope you're well, and maybe see you in May. I don't know. Bye, Bader.